What's up, people? Peek out here in Singapore. It's about 11 o'clock on a Monday. So we're starting off a new week again. I had a chance to actually get in touch with a lot of people over the weekend. We had a workshop on Saturday, which was kind of interesting because we did line dancing first, and then we did a quick workout, and then we did inline skating, and then I did meditation. It was pretty damn cool. It was really interesting. And it's funny because I do meditate, I do guided meditations, and it wasn't until I was forced to do those things that I even considered that that was something that I could do rather well. It's not that I have formal training on any specific style. I kind of developed my own way of doing things because I know what I need to get calm and collected and actually really ground myself into my body rather than it be in my thoughts. So it was very, very exciting to me to have people come up to me after the meditation session and say, "Hey, I've never tried meditation before, and it's a lot easier than I thought it would be." I almost fell asleep. I felt very relaxed, and obviously, I chose the timing of the meditation on purpose because it happened to be right after an HIIT workout. So pretty awesome. I did that on purpose mostly because it kind of mimics what we feel when we get home from work. We talk about we need that time to wind down, right? So that's something I wanted to incorporate. And I proved that you could stop thinking about the aches and pains in your body because of the workout, and you could really calm yourself enough to fall asleep if you needed to. So, yeah, really cool stuff. Got to talk to a lot of people. Left from there and came back home just to relax with my kid, do some cooking, do her hair very, very quickly because it was a simple hairdo that day. And then Sunday it was a jam-packed day. Sunday I had to visit with some family. I had a swim class right after that, got down to doing her hair. It took forever, but it's all good. We're done. And we have like an odd week because this Friday is actually National Day. It is Singapore's National Day. And so they get out of school early on Thursday. And we have a very long weekend because Hari Raya Haji is on Monday as well. So we have Friday off, Monday off. We have 4 days in a row that we get to while out a little bit. So stay tuned for more interesting content up on Kutiji's page. So with that being said, I've been listening to dialogues and watching information. Basically, I'm always looking for information, right? Always looking for inspiration. And lately we've been watching Once Upon a Time, which is perfect for me because it's chock full of drama and nonsense and a lot of relatable issues for all the characters. And I love it because lately I've been noticing more and more about the villains. So I'm thinking, if somebody had been there to speak to Hitler about his, not being able to get into art school, a Jewish art school at that, maybe things would have turned out differently. If, for example, Cora is the evil queen's mother, and she went through a traumatic situation where she felt like she was being belittled in public humiliation, shame because her father really wasn't doing much with his life. She had to kind of run the business by herself. She was a miller's daughter, and the fact that one day out of her entire life, right? One day when she was going to deliver the mill, sorry, the flower that she had prepared to the king, one of the ladies who was a suitor for the prince actually tripped her. And it was a childish thing to do, obviously, but that was the focus of the rest of Cora's life, unfortunately. So millions of things could have happened around the way. Yes, of course, she could have blamed her father, she could have blamed the king, she could have blamed 1,000 people, but she chose to focus on what people did not know at the time was Snow White's mother when she was young. Now, Snow White also had a moment where her mom had to calm her down and tell her not to be so uppity about, being a princess, because there was a moment in the same episode where Johanna, which is the handmaid, when Snow White was young, was getting ready to, have a crown presented to her at her birthday party, and Johanna happened to be wearing it to try it on ahead of time, and the queen and Snow White caught her. And where Snow White got upset and was like, "How dare you? Who are you to wear a crown? You're a handmaid and you're a servant. They don't deserve crowns." The mother stopped in and was like, "Look, people are people no matter where you go, and she has dignity just like you do, so you don't need to treat her that way. There's a better way to handle that." So obviously the person that Snow White's mother was as a child, where she was tripping the miller's daughter, versus the person she was at the end of her life, because she's learned, she's figured out some stuff, obviously is different. So there was room for her growth, whereas Cora, the miller's daughter, kind of got stuck in that one situation where she was publicly humiliated in front of the king and his court by this young girl tripping her. and then being made to, kneel in front of them and apologize and all of that stuff. And then she decided to, the rest of her actions followed that idea. But the reason I call this Cora's heart is because there was a moment where you learned that Cora actually removed her own heart so she would never ever feel the way that she did, because she realized that love was a weakness. Now we all know that love is actually a really great strength, but it can be used against us because people want to find ways to control us, right? People want to find a way to tell us what to do, force us into acting a specific way, and they'll use the people we love to kind of get to the heart of the matter. And that's what something that Cora realized was possible, and she was very afraid of that ever happening. But in the process of removing her heart, she never really felt anything ever again either. So everything was driven towards that one feeling of, I will never be made to bow down to anyone. I will never be made to feel smaller than anybody. I will go look for power now, because love is dangerous, right? So unfortunately, this whole episode, the climax was Cora was killed. Cora was killed, but she had to be killed by putting her heart back into her body after it had been cursed. And obviously the evil queen, Regina, was tricked into doing that for Snow White. But the point being that as soon as the heart entered her body, she suddenly felt all the loves that she'd been missing. She'd been missing love. She wanted to be loved and accepted. She wanted to be whole. And she had that. Rumpelstiltskin was actually in love with her. He amended the contract. He, made sure that he made provisions so that she would be happy, because he also wanted to be loved and accepted. He also had a moment where people called him a coward based on who his father was. He was made to make a decision on whether he should leave his son fatherless or not. So he turned tail and fled in the Ogre Wars. Like, all of these things happened, but he also just wanted to be loved. Cora also just wanted to be loved. And the moment her heart returned to her, she was able to look upon the face of her daughter and tell her, you know what? This would have been enough. She had everything she wanted, but because she was not thinking with her heart, she was only thinking with her mind and her ego, and the fact that she never, ever, ever, ever wanted to be hurt again, she lost sight of everything else that she really, really wanted. And we can be like that sometimes. We get caught up in these thoughts, right? Something hurts us and we make sure that the other person is punished, and there's revenge, and you want them to feel like you felt, or worse. Something Cora said, that she wanted to make sure that everybody was on their knees until they couldn't get up anymore, and every last one of them would be just ruined. Basically, she just wanted to hurt everybody. But if she had focused on what she did have in the middle of all this stuff, right? She put her foot in her mouth. She got caught up in talking about how she could spin straw into gold, all this stuff. Rumpelstiltskin actually came and rescued her and taught her how to do what he did. And in that difficult situation, she found love. Both of them found love. But because she could not focus on the love, she could not focus on what she had, she only chose to focus on what she didn't have, her life took a turn for the worst. She's always constantly looking for power, looking for power, looking for power. She does not regard the things that she does have in her life. She doesn't cherish anything but power. And when you look for power, when is it ever enough? It's never enough, right? As soon as you get to one level, you want the next level, and then you want the next level. It's the same thing as money. I want this amount of money. And once you get that, you still see that, there's other things you could be doing, other people doing more than you are. You want more money. So the reason I named this Cora's Heart is because I want you to take a look at what I'm talking about here. The evil queen and her mother both wanted love and acceptance. The evil queen was not evil the whole time. It wasn't until she met Snow White, and Snow White was trying to do the best she could, and she accidentally, named the evil queen's lover, at which point Cora decided to kill her because she wanted Regina to do what she wanted her to do. She wanted Regina to be part of her, amassing power ploy, basically. So all of these things could have been avoided. None of these people were even evil to begin with. It's just that they chose to focus on what wasn't there in their life, and they chose to focus on how someone made them feel small, rather than building themselves up to a point where no one can make you feel small because you are enough to yourself. That self-love's got to be there, you guys, really. So I want to ask you guys a question. Can you see how you, under the right circumstances, could also become very, very mean and wicked and try to punish people rather than live your life? Do you see how a wicked person, if they were just given the things that they needed, if they were able to ask for the things that they wanted, that they could also change their life around and maybe become a good person. Now, for Regina, that did happen eventually because she was searching for the love of her son, Henry, her stepson. So eventually she did decide that she could be better than this and she could earn someone's love rather than force it because they were used to forcing people, right? But she also realized that once that curse enacted, she didn't have what she wanted. She basically put herself into Groundhog's Day. The same shit happened every day, every day, every day, and there was no meaning behind it. There was no different conversation. Everything happened exactly the same way every time. So my question to you is, how important is this sense of control? How important is it for you to get back at the people that hurt you? Is that going to be your whole life's ambition? Or do you think you could chase the things you actually want, the things you actually need? Maybe what you need is someone to hold your hand every now and again. Maybe you need someone to give you a hug every now and again. Can you open your mouth and ask for a hug? Is that embarrassing to you? Do you feel small to say that? Why should I even say that? They should know. No, people don't know. They're consumed with their own shit. So how important is control to you? How important is it to have this high and mighty feeling? Is it possible you can get that high and mighty feeling through love instead of power? That's what I want to ask you guys today. I want you to consider that. Let me know. Drop me something in the comments. I want to see what y'all think because it's important to me. Because this is the whole point of me actually speaking up about this stuff. Mental illness is no joke. Negativity, positivity, those things are real. People go through shit every day, and there isn't a single person on this damn planet who isn't traumatized by something. So I'm saying, this is important to your growth, to your eternal happiness, that happily ever after everyone wants. This is how you get it. Are you willing to sit down and do the work, though? Are you really willing to take a look at who you are and what you've been doing so far and what's been productive and what isn't productive? And are you ready to cut off the things that really hurt you, even though they're comfortable and you know what to expect with them? Holla at me. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.